Hello folks, my name is Bob Anderson. My passion is building perfectly balanced injectors. I put everything I have into making them feel and idle like a 6.7, pull like a 6.7. Anyway, I get to meet some really cool people and I enjoy seeing all the mods and awesome trucks. Balancing is very time consuming. There's just one problem so far with all this. It's contamination. So what I have to share may help others, so please take a moment with me and I'll teach you a few things that I've learned over the years. Some will probably surprise you, so let's jump in and let's get going here. It's okay, so the first thing is the Camarel injector that I build here is a joke. There's so few moving parts. I mean, people, they act like these are kryptonite or, oh wow, you know what I mean? Take it apart? Oh my gosh. It is a joke, really. There's nothing there. Look, he's taking one apart right now. Anyway, so a handful of shims, a check ball, a valve, and one fastener to squish it all together, and a cap and a nut. And so what do you have? You have yourself nothing more than an educated sprinkler. Okay, it will perform perfectly until it wears out. There's nothing. You can't throw a chain. You can't jump time. You can't. There's no chain tensioner or valve body. It is just shims that are all squished together. And when you get these shims just right, you can try to manage to get the flow to match the other ones. And that's sometimes a little bit of a task because you can't turn a screw. You actually have to replace a shim when you want to make a little adjustment on flow. So there's no idle jet. You have to do that with your micrometer, okay? And so it takes several runs, very time consuming, okay? But so let's keep going. All right. As far as the injector is concerned, an injector once it's built, it's going to stay like that until it finally dies a slow death of, you guessed it, high returns. That's because the valves finally wear out. It is uncommon. It's almost never the case that an injector will shapeshift on its own. I mean, from day one till the day you pull it back out because the valves are worn out for the mileage. The only thing that can change it is contamination. Contamination is building up in the parts. They're starting to seize up. That's what will make it. An injector that was run perfectly, all of a sudden, just take a dump. So some people think, well, they just wore out and I'll get another set and we'll be all happy again. Well, that's not so true. First of all, if you don't know that your first set died due to contamination, you're going to drop your next set in with that warm, fuzzy feeling, and you're going to be gravely disappointed when things start acting up. So that's what I'm going to try to do today, is we'll go through these things here really quick and hopefully quick, and maybe I can enlighten you a little bit and we can save trouble in the future because your injectors won't go down again. All right, so let's go real quick. All right, I gotta stop. Whew. Anyway, so you see what he's been doing. He's been dumping out all the injectors one at a time. And what we're doing is looking for contamination because the ones that are dirty are the ones that are going to be worn out or wash the valve out. And also, what you see in these injectors, if you clean your tank, it's the remnants of what you missed. I just told the fellow that I did this test. See, dirt's coming out. There should be nothing in there, and that's enough to wipe out an injector right there. It's hard to believe it, but we're talking microns. That's enough there. A tea bag full of that stuff in your fuel tank will absolutely wipe out your whole fuel system, and I don't care what kind of filters you got on it. Okay, but so really quick, he's looking for, what'll happen is, these things will clean your whole fuel system. Just had a fellow, he took, I sent him the thing, said he needs to flush his, showed him a picture of a dirty injector, he like blew up. He said, not out of my truck, I just had a cleanliness test. And these guys know what they're doing, they're like engineers, some kind of hydraulic engineers. These are not dummies. But what he didn't know is whatever the remnants was left from his cleaning now is in his injectors, because that's where the stuff goes, right under that coil. I'll always, when I see these, with the dirt right on top of that, under that armature, on top of that valve, that's where they get wiped out. That's where this stuff accumulates, and it just kind of sits there like that junk in your lift pump bowl, in the fuel pump area. So the nothing gets through them. So basically, you clean it all up, and you're feeling pretty good. You put your new injectors in a week or two or a month or 6 months, they just start going on the nut again. And of course, who are you looking at? Your builder. So I encourage you, if you before you send injectors in, spin that cap off. Do that test. You see that dirt in there, go clean up. If you don't, you're oh man, you're try that with a $3,000 set of injectors and call the guy and tell him, hey, you sold me bad injectors, or you know what I mean, new. Send them back and see what happens. You're going to eat it. They're not going to give. They won't give you the time of day. I don't care what your cleanliness says, because it's all up in the injectors. If you want to do a cleanliness test, take the cap off. Try it there. How do you think that'd fare if that came out of his truck? That came out of his oil. How do you think that would fare under that cleanliness desk? What you seen? You didn't even get to see the real bad one. That was number 5. I kind of messed that up when I was pausing and going. That thing was just soap full of it. So, but anyway, bottom line is, nothing works better than an injector, and it will purify your system. People for a few years now is that unlike your nothing gets through an injector. That soup of all different size particles, all different size microns, are going to work their way into every moving part, especially where there's heat involved, and the injectors get super hot, especially at the critical parts of the nozzle and valve. Anyway, so it starts building up a layer of that ground up material that you see under that valve, right? Because your injector has absolutely no trouble whatsoever of filtering your whole fuel system. I mean, you could literally, your filters can't do, oh wow, they haven't got a chance. And these guys here, like the black hole, things go in, but nothing comes back out. Well, anyway, that's why they start to go down, is because the buildup is continuing to the point where it literally seizes the injector up. So, and trust me, that's not your builder's fault, you know. Yeah, it didn't jump time, the chain tensioner let go, That's basically crud got back in there, okay? And don't think those filters, 2-micron filters, are going to do any good. They won't help you one little iota. After that stuff goes through those 3 pumps several times, the only place it can fit is between the needle and nozzle, and that's where it's going to be. And that junk under that is just like that fuel filter lift pump bowl full of crud. That's where that soup is just laying around up there, and it gets circulated over and over again. Some goes down, some will head back to the tank, gets ground up again, but guess what? It'll all collect up into your injectors, and it'll stay exactly where I'm looking. So when we take the top off and I call you and I tell you you have a contamination issue, you have to take care of it, or you're going to come back, and if I've warned you and you don't listen, like the several people have done, I'm going to have to just void the warranty. Good Lord, I'm sorry, but wow, it's getting kind of expensive. If things happen, I mean, I will take care of people if things happen. I mean, I'm more than happy to, but when I call you, tell you you have to, and you ignore me, that don't work. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to enforce that. But in the meanwhile, these little few here and there happen. I'll take care of them. You ask anybody, and they'll tell you, I will take care of it. So a lot of time at my own expense. But anyway, so let's just take my word for it. You have to get the stuff out of the system. Don't rely on the filters. And if you do that, you will not go back. You'll be not coming around with misfiring and smoke and poor fuel mileage and all the above. Okay, then we won't be arguing either. Okay, because I tell them, well, that's contamination, and you know what I mean. They think I left something loose. A year and a half later. Oh, okay, or 2 years later. No, contamination came back up, and buddy, you wiped out all my hard work. $600 worth of parts, and I'm supposed to like give you another set or refund. Anyway, anyway, well, I gotta shut up. Anyway, thanks, folks. All right, good night.